Hey guys, thanks for stopping by for another video here at All I See Is W. In today's video, I wanted to cover market news updates with Bitcoin. We'll talk about MicroStrategy updates, as well as talk about the big three Bitcoin miners. There's so much news that we learned from today with the executive order that Donald Trump signed, how that resulted in the Bitcoin price having huge price action, especially with the stock market open. We saw a lot of ups and downs. It was like a yo-yo effect that we saw within the last couple of hours of trading. And now I'll go through my overall updates with technical and fundamental analysis. Now, if you're new to this channel, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's get started, guys. So first, we're looking at price of Bitcoin today. As you can see, we saw ups and downs, but this is really good news because over the last couple of days since Monday, we've been just seeing the price of Bitcoin hover down. It's been descending to about 101,000. And just right when we got news that was announced on X, I'll cover all of those details. That's where the price action started happening. So we saw the run up from like 101,000 all the way up to like 105,000. And this resulted in MSTR's price action as well as the Bitcoin miners price action going up. And there's just been a lot of sentiment going on with MSTR, with the 11-week consecutive buy, signaling growing corporate trust in digital assets. In fact, Mara Holdings, the biggest Bitcoin miner, they're planning on a national Bitcoin reserve with bipartisan corporate leader support. So that just shows that strategic Bitcoin reserve, there's that US national interest that's building up here. And we heard about just with the change in the SEC, how there's a new crypto task force led by Hester Pierce, who is known for her crypto-friendly stance, along with BlackRock. 600 million Bitcoin purchase highlights growing institutional interest in cryptocurrencies, reflecting a broad shift in investment strategies. So, what does all this mean? I think there's just so many catalysts going on right now. We'll cover all of those details as to what those catalysts were with the announcement of the executive action today signed by Donald Trump. But just from a technical standpoint, Bitcoin price, I mean, even BlackRock CEO was forecasting that price of Bitcoin will go up to about 700,000 in the near term. And just based on technicals mirroring the historical patterns of the 2015, 2018 cycle, we can see some heavy run-ups now that we're in that consolidation phase. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin rainbow halving. So we see here, halving events every 4 years, but just looking at where we are with that April halving in 2024, we're still in that bull cycle. We haven't really got into that yellow, orange, and red territory, which would be more of that bubble bursting. So I think we're in that bullish bull cycle along with all of these catalysts that just recently came out. We're looking at some huge price actions that will be coming with the price of Bitcoin going above 200,000. And that's going to result in MicroStrategy and these Bitcoin miners to really take action with its share price. Let's take a look at Bitcoin treasuries here. So you see the continuous increase. Orange would be ETFs, blues, private companies, government increases here. We know that government didn't even sell any of the Bitcoins that they were able to rack up from just like the Silk Road, other areas, they kept all of that because that's really going to support the strategic Bitcoin reserve. We didn't see the government selling any of that, and the market reacted to that news a couple weeks ago. But that's a sentiment on the direction as to where we're headed. The US government will continue to hodl up, and that will also mean that financial institutions will hodl as much Bitcoin as they can. So right now it's really like that blue color here versus the orange color, which would be like companies like BlackRock. And then eventually you'll have other financial institutions that will start flowing in. Even Fidelity has, crypto exchanges going on right now. But what does this mean? I think this really stabilizes the price of Bitcoin. And as soon as we have more countries adopting Bitcoin, we're even getting down to the state level, applying strategic Bitcoin reserve. Multiple states now within the US, I'm losing track of all the different states, but you have Texas, Pennsylvania, Missouri, Massachusetts, you name it, it's going all across the board. And all of this is really going to increase the demand and the price of Bitcoin is going to go up. As you see here, MicroStrategy currently they are at 461,000 Bitcoins with an average cost of like 63,000. MicroStrategy, there's no other company that can do what they're doing right now. Their overall business model, I mean, they went through so many pains early on, but right now their fruits are really maturing right now. Mara Holdings here, they're the biggest Bitcoin miner. They have 44,000 Bitcoins. Riot Platforms right behind Mara at 17,000, close to 18,000. You have CleanSpark here breaching through 10,000 Bitcoins on their HODL. I think a lot of these companies with the big HODL here, of course, MSTR has the biggest HODL. They're really going to get an advantage here, especially with government contracts, incentives with spot exchange, letting financial institutions use their bitcoins as like a Bitcoin bank, leasing out their bitcoins, and as a return, they gain interest on that. So much sentiment going on right now. Price action is going to increase. I think come tomorrow, we could very well see Bitcoin price reach potentially all-time highs. Let's take a look at this article here on X in that President Trump today, he signed an executive order to eliminate central bank digital currency. This has been the biggest worry in the cryptocurrency market, where if we were to have central bank digital currency, that really uh, takes away the whole aspect of cryptocurrency decentralization. So I think with today's news, that really prohibits CBDC within the jurisdiction of the US, which really, puts a stamp of freedom and flexibility for those who own Bitcoin. So I think today's a big time news here where we're banning that central bank power potential. Let's also look at recent news with the executive order in that the SEC has made changes to their accounting bulletin. So number 121, what does this mean? Banks can now custody Bitcoin. So now they're able to work with clients and have custody service. Before they didn't have that ability to do so. And also with companies that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet, before they would actually have to claim that on their balance sheet as liabilities. Now, with this removal, that takes away that whole aspect of liabilities on their accounting balance sheet. That really changes the whole strategy of this financial systems with digital assets being a growth trajectory. Everyone's seeing the value in Bitcoin as a commodity. Having this elimination from the accounting bulletin, I really think that SEC is streamlining, making it more clear as to how these executive orders for cryptocurrency, how it's really going to add value for the US to be the powerhouse, uh, a country to have the most amount of Bitcoins as a reserve, as well as even tapping into artificial intelligence. I think that is one big thing that we should keep in mind here. So taking a look at the details here.
Strengthen our economy and pay down debt. Make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto.
So you heard that short clip there in that Trump announced that we will be the world capital of AI and crypto. We just heard about the Stargate contract, $500 billion for AI. So that positions the US
My message
to
to every business
to actually get into AI. North American miners, I think we're going to get advantage, and that's why prices of the North American miners, like the big three, are really going to take advantage here. Let's take a look at just price action with MSTR. So even though we saw downward price today, MSTR, let's take a look at the technicals here. So we did see MSTR reach all-time highs of like $550 back in November. From a technicals perspective, it started decreasing in terms of its relative strength index. It began to get, sold, but we see it tightening up here. We're beginning to see consolidation. I do see cup and handle forming. It'll be interesting to see whether the current price action at 373 can it break out of that Ichimoku cloud. Price action, ideally, we want to be above that cloud because that cloud can really bring down the price. But I think where we are right now with the RSI at like 51, along with all of these catalysts with cryptocurrency, I think that, come tomorrow, we could see some huge price actions with MSTR, and we haven't really seen good numbers with MSTR over the recent days, especially with the week post inauguration. But I think tomorrow's going to be a great day along with the weeks ahead. Let's take a look at Mara's price action. So today, we saw a 1.3% gain with Mara, so definitely better than being in the red zone. Current price at like 19.95. We actually saw much more price action during the day, but it ended the market with a 1% gain. I think that we're going to see some huge upsides starting tomorrow. What we saw with Mara at one point back in November when RSI was above 60, price was at $30 within, a couple of weeks of trading. It went, down by 50%, but I think because it dropped down so quickly, we're going to start seeing, it be bought up quickly here and shorts are going to start covering here. I think that in Q1, early Q1, we're going to see that retest into that $30. But I think where we are with all the catalysts going on right now, Mara has that potential for some huge upsides. The big three miners, I see 3 to 5x potential. 2024 was hindsight underperforming year, but I think that these miners really are going to shine in the year 2025. Let's take a look at another Bitcoin miner, CleanSpark. So CleanSpark is one company not to ignore because they're growing their hash rate. They're improving their fleet efficiency right now, being like one of the main competitors with Mara. But where the price is right now, definitely undervalued at $11.41. Yes, we still are not out of the woods yet from a technicals analysis price action here. Ideally, we want to see it break through that Ichimoku cloud. But the proof would be to see whether we're going to see it break through that descending resistance, which is what we saw back in November when it had that high point of $18. But over like, less than a span of 6 weeks, it dropped by 50%. But what goes down so quick in this short time frame has potential to, shoot back up, especially with all of the news with the executive order deregulation of cryptocurrency. And, I think, come end of January, we're going to get more catalysts heading into February because we're going to get monthly production data for January. And I believe that CleanSpark, Mara, and Riot will provide really good data. On top of that, we're going to have catalysts with the Q4 quarterly results from like Mara, CleanSpark, and Riot. It's expected that we're going to see big time revenue because of the price appreciation with Bitcoin for Q4 of last year. So all of that's going to be driving factors where investors really invest once they see positive results when it comes to their balance sheet on the accounting results. So CleanSpark, I think, where it is right now at $11, we can see the stock, retest back when we saw the price, in March of 2024 go from $6 to $24 within a matter of days, 4x gain. I think that we can easily see 3 to 5x potential with CleanSpark in 2025. Let's take a look at another Bitcoin miner here, Riot Platforms here. definitely some huge price action today. Yes, even though price action today got up to like $14.40, it ended the market down by 1%, hovering now at like 12.99. I think that, we're looking at some really good technicals here, updates, RSI. It's not overbought or anything right now, but hovering at that consistent 50 range RSI. I think that the RSI is going to start picking back up. We're going to see increased volume with buying here, especially with the news on the executive order, as well as the recent update that Riot just announced in that they are potentially positioning themselves as a company, not only being a Bitcoin miner, but pivoting into AI HPC using the remaining 600 megawatt capacity at the Corsicana facility to uh, tap into AI. So we heard about Stargate, $500 billion contract for the US to scale up operations. But I think Stargate, they're going to start looking for land. They're going to look for real estate that has that capacity approval for energy wattage, and Riot has that ability to partner up with Stargate or even another big time client. So I think where we are with the price, we could see price action go up, retest definitely above $20 in Q1. I think we can easily see Riot get beyond $50 in the year 2025. So there you have it. That's my overall update with Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, as well as the Bitcoin miners, Mara, CleanSpark, and Riot. Let me know what your thoughts are and leave your comments down below. Thank you guys.